Super Mario GVT presents Fun with Fractions and Decimals. Welcome to a whole new world of fractions and decimals. Let's start with fractions. A fraction is a part or a portion of a thing or set. The parts of a fraction have special names. The top number is called the numerator. In this example, 2 is the numerator. The numerator tells you how many parts out of the total parts you observe of a thing or set. The bottom number is called the denominator. In this example, the denominator would be 6. The denominator tells you how many equal parts that a thing or set is divided into. When it comes to fractions, the parts of an object have to have the same size and shape, which is known as congruent parts. Now, let's play Name That Fraction! Here's how it works. I'll show you a picture. Look at the picture, then see if you can name the fraction that matches the picture before I do. Are you ready? Good! Here we go! This rectangle is divided into 6 parts. 4 of them are colored in. The answer is 4/6. 4/6 of the rectangle is in color. This rectangle is divided into 7 parts. 5 of them are colored in. The answer is 5/7. 5/7 of the rectangle is in color. This square is divided into 10 parts. 7 of them are colored in. The answer is 7/10. 7/10 of the square is in color. This circle has 8 parts. 7 of them are colored in. The answer is 7/8. 7/8 of the circle is in color. This heart has 2 parts. 1 part is colored in. The answer is 1/2. 1/2 of the heart is in color. This triangle is divided into 3 parts. 2 of them are colored in. The answer is 2/3. 2/3 of the triangle is in color. This star is divided into 5 parts. 4 of them are colored in. The answer is 4/5. 4/5 of the star is in color. There are 6 shirts. 5 of them are colored. The answer is 5/6. 5/6 of the shirts are in color. There are 12 eggs. 7 of them are colored. 7/12 of these eggs are in color. There are 4 balls. 3 of them are in color. The answer is 3/4. 3/4 of these balls are in color. That was some fraction action you had in this game. Now remember, an object or set has to be divided into congruent parts in order to use fractions when talking about them. Let's learn about equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are 2 or more fractions that are equal to each other. Here's an example. 1/4 is equivalent to 3/12. Now you do it. Let's play a game called equivalent or non-equivalent. Here's how it works. I'll show you 2 fractions. Look at the fractions, then decide whether they're equivalent or non-equivalent. Try to say equivalent or non-equivalent before I do. Ready? 1/2 and 4/8. Equivalent. 2/6 and 6/7. Non-equivalent. 3/8 and 6/16. Equivalent. 8/9 and 10/12. Non-equivalent. 2/3 and 4/6. Equivalent. 2/5 and 7/8. Non-equivalent. 1/3 and 4/12. Equivalent. 1/6 and 5/12. Non-equivalent. 3/4 and 6/8. Equivalent. 5/8 and 7/9. Non-equivalent. Well done! Now your skills are equivalent to your brain power. Let's learn about proper and improper fractions. A proper fraction is what you've already seen before. It's a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. In this example, 1/5 is a proper fraction because 1 is smaller than 5. An improper fraction is a fraction where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. In this example, 6/5 is an improper fraction because 6 is larger than 5. Now it's your turn to learn proper and improper fractions. Let's play a game called Proper or Improper. Here's how it works. I will show you a fraction, look at the fraction, and decide whether it's proper or improper. Try to say proper or improper before I do. Ready? Good! Here we go! 1/7. Proper. 7/6. Improper. 3/8. Proper. 9/5. Improper. 5/9. Proper. 7/2. Improper. 4/5. Proper. 5/4. Improper. 4/7. Proper. 5/2. Improper. Now you have the proper way to learn fractions. Let's learn about mixed numerals. A mixed numeral is a whole number and a fraction that are mixed together. This is another way to write improper fractions. For example, 6/5 is the same as 1 and 1/5. Now see what you know about mixed numerals. Let's play a game together. Here's how it works. I will show you the improper fractions from the last part, but this time convert them into mixed numerals. Try to say them before I do. Ready? Good. Here we go. 7/6 is the same as 1 and 1/6. 9/5 is the same as 1 and 4/5. 7/2 is the same as 3 and 1/2. 5/4 is the same as 1 and 1/4. 5/2 is the same as 2 and 1/2. The mixed numerals will not get your fractions all mixed up. Now, let's learn about decimals. A decimal is a special kind of fraction, except with numbers after the point. Here's an example. 5.5 is a decimal. It is also read as 5 and 5/10. To find out what you've got, count the number of place values to the right of the little dot. One number after the decimal is the tenths place. Two numbers after the decimal is the hundredths place. And three numbers after the decimal is the thousandths place. Let's start with the tenths place. Look at the fraction and try to say the decimal of the fraction before I do. Ready? 9/10. 0.9. 1/10. 0.1. 5/10. 0.5. 3/10. 0.3. 7/10. 0.7. Now let's do hundredths. Some of them are pretty tricky because they have one number as the numerator, and to write the decimal, make sure to put that number in the correct place value. Try to say the decimal before I do. Ready? 53 hundredths. 0.53. 31 hundredths. 0.31. 17 hundredths. 0.17. 85 hundredths. 0.85. 6 hundredths. 0.06. Let's do the thousandths place. Try to say the decimal of the fraction before I do. 528 thousandths. 0.528. 144 thousandths. 0.144. 35 thousandths. 0.035. 30 13 thousandths. 0.013. 2 thousandths. 0.002. Well done! You've mastered your way through the hard parts. Now, let's do converting fractions to decimals. There's a trick to this. A fraction with a numerator and a denominator is similar to a division problem. An example would be 1/2, which is 1 divided by 2. The best way to do it is to put it in a calculator. Put 1 divided by 2 and you get 0.5, which is the same as 5/10. Because 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent fractions. Now, let's convert other fractions to decimals. Say the decimal of the fraction before I do. Remember to use a calculator for the hard part. One-fifth. 0.2. Because 1/5 and 2/10 are equivalent fractions. 3/4. 0.75. Because 75 hundredths and 3/4 are equivalent fractions. 3/8. 0.375. Because 375 thousandths and 3/8 are equivalent fractions. 1/4. 0.25. Because 25 hundredths is equivalent to 1/4. 1/8. 0.125. Because 125 thousandths is equivalent to 1/8. Very well done! You know, this can work with any fraction with the numerator and a denominator, though mostly you may get a long answer. To not make the decimal go on forever, estimate it and round up or down. Now, let's do adding and subtracting fractions with common denominators. To add and subtract fractions with common denominators, add or subtract the numerators and put the sum or difference of the numerators above the denominator. Let's start with adding fractions. Try to say the answers before I do. 3/6 plus 2/6 equals 5/6. 1/7 plus 3/7 equals 4/7. 7/10 plus 1/10 equals 8/10. 5/8 plus 2/8 equals 7/8. 3/5 plus 1/5 equals 4/5. Now, let's do subtracting fractions with common denominators. Try to say the answers before I do. 6/7 minus 3/7 equals 3/7. 5/9 minus 3/9 equals 2/9. 4/8 minus 1/8 equals 3/8. 3/4 minus 2/4 equals 1/4. 9/12 minus 4/12 equals 5/12. Very wonderful! Adding and subtracting fractions with common denominators is pretty easy for you. Thank you for learning fractions and decimals. Use them in the world around you. And one day you will learn how to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators and do many cool things using fractions and decimals. What have you learned about fractions and decimals?